Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Wherever you are, remember, you have greatness inside of you. Welcome back to another HABS Daily News with the hockey coach, your coach, FRENCHY. Today, episode number 236 with your menu coach today. First of all, Montreal should consider to split Suzuki and Caufield now. Then, my sixth-player untouchable for the Montreal Canadiens. And then finally, Owen Beck with the Montreal Canadiens. It could happen. But before we start, we would like to invite you, don't forget, please, to click on the like, subscribe to the Hockey Nation show, and leave me a comment about this episode. And let's dive in talking about my first subject of the day. My first subject of the day, guys, about the Montreal Canadiens big decision. What are you talking about, coach? First of all, guys, I want to talk about Kirby Dach improvement. Maybe it's the time to split Suzuki and Caufield. I will tell you why. Because the data analytic. Here we go. First of all, guys, Kirby Dach is really a dominant position player. He controls the puck. He's very good on the transition. Just give you an example from last game against the Florida Panthers. Montreal Canadiens have 47% control shot, 5 versus 5. 34 and 38. Dach line with Hoffman and Anderson. They control the shot for over 65%. Just what Dach does night after night when he plays without Caufield and Suzuki. Every game, like I mentioned to you guys, Dach improved his underlying number by controlling the puck. Now, Caufield, Suzuki with and without Dach or Sean Monahan. Really interesting, guys. With both of them, Suzuki and Caufield have 52% controlling puck. They have 51% high danger shot and 50.5 expected goal when they play with Kirby Dach or Sean Monahan. But here, what happening here? 41.7% controlling puck, 22% only high danger shot, 30% expected goal. So what was all about, coach? But when Suzuki and Caufield are on the ice without Monahan and Dach, most of the time they are on the defensive zone. And that's not what you want for your first line as a team. You want them on an offensive zone to produce goal and point. And that's the biggest problem right now with Montreal Canadiens when they are not playing with Dach or Monahan. And Martin Saint-Louis right now have no other solution. That's the problem they have, the Montreal Canadiens, about the proximity of the both player Caufield and Suzuki. My question I ask you, maybe it's the time to split Caufield and Nick Suzuki and bring Kirby Dach with Cole Caufield and develop Nick Suzuki with other players. That's something I think Montreal should consider to do at some point. Improvement of Kirby Dach is really amazing so far since he moved from the right winger to become a center for the Montreal Canadiens. We're going to follow, of course, those numbers for the next couple of games. We're going to bring you back some update. But again, right now, split Suzuki and Caufield could be a solution for the Montreal Canadiens. Leave me a comments about my first subject and let's move on, guys, for my second subject of the day. My second subject of the day, guys, about the Montreal Canadiens have 6 untouchable players. They won't trade at any cost. What are you talking about? But I really believe those players are not going to be traded whatsoever or the team requests to Montreal to Canadiens to make a trade. First of all, the captain, Nick Suzuki, for the Montreal Canadiens, following by Cole Caufield. We know Caufield scored goal like a machine right now. Sen is under Martin Saint-Louis. The third players I just mentioned and talk about him, Kirby Dach. What a great trade they got from the Chicago Blackhawks. Then Keaton Coley, the defenseman of the Montreal Canadiens right now, is on injury reserve. But what a season he has with the Montreal Canadiens. Consider him as the top best 2 defensemen for the future with the Canadiens. Then Albert Jekai, right now play on the third pairing. He remind me a lot like Odelin when he started with the Montreal Canadiens, and I think he can become a top 4 defenseman if the improvement and his skill improve with time, with progression. I wouldn't be surprised one day Jekai play on the top 4 with the Montreal Canadiens. Finally, my last player, guy, is Juraj Slavkovsky, draft 1 first overall pick last season. They are right now the 6 untouchable players. I don't see Montreal Canadiens could trade at this moment. So they are, guys, my 6 untouchable players for the Montreal Canadiens for the future. What do you think about my selection of the 6 untouchable players? Leave me a comment. Let's move on now, guys, for the last subject of the day. My last subject of the day, yes, I said Owen Beck could call up with the Montreal Canadiens. But here's the point, guys. NHL rule emergency call up. The Montreal got a lot of injuries for the last couple of days with Sakoski, Drouin, Armia, and Jake Evans. The rules in NHL is this way. You can have 2 call up emergency or plus from American Hockey League and no problem with that part there. But here's what is really interesting. When you call up 2 players for American Hockey League, guys, then you can look inside of the organization with an entry-level contract. And if this player play in the junior, example, Owen Beck, Joshua Roy, Philippe Mézard, they are all 3 have an entry-level contract. Montreal Canadiens could call up a player like them versus a player already in American Hockey League. So not many people know that rule. I just want to sharing with you, give you a little bit more information about how this works. So point here on this subject is Montreal Canadiens, after they call up 2 players for emergency for the American Hockey League, they could call up players inside the organization with an entry-level contract and play right now with the junior. So really interesting about this. Is it possible? You never know. I don't see this could happen, but if ever Montreal have another injury, they could call Owen Beck or Joshua Roy if it's necessary. Leave me a comments about this subject, and that's conclude, guys, all my subject I have for you for this episode. Here we go, guys. All my 3 subjects of the day on this great Saturday. I want to remind you, don't forget the Montreal Canadiens play again at Toronto Maple Leafs tonight at 7:00 p.m. at the Bell Center. I'm going to do the play-by-play. I invite you to join me at 7 o'clock. I just want to remind you before we leave, don't forget to click on the like, subscribe to the Hockey Nation Show, and leave me a comments about this episode. And of course, you have greatness inside of you, and we wish you an amazing, great, blessing day, everybody.